Demons don't knock. They already have keys. Watch who walks in like they own the place. That's the dangerous part. They don't break in you. They don't climb through windows or sneak in through the shadows. They're already inside, already seated, already sipping coffee in your living room. They have access, and they've had it for years. You trusted them before you knew what trust really meant. You welcomed them before you understood what it costs to let someone that close. And now they walk through your life like landlords, not guests. You're like rulers, not equals. They come in the form of family, longtime friends, people who claim they know you better than you know yourself. And maybe once they did. Maybe they held your hand through a storm. Maybe they brought comfort in a moment you thought you'd break. That's how they earned the keys. That's how they got your trust. But now they've outstayed their welcome. Now they question your growth, criticize your healing, and challenge every new boundary you set. They say you've changed you. But what they really mean is they no longer have unrestricted access to your peace. See, a demon doesn't always look like the villain. Sometimes they wear your history like armor. They remind you of everything you've shared, every moment you've survived together. But they do it not to bond. No, they do it to bind you. They weaponize the past to chain you to a version of yourself that no longer exists. And every time you try to evolve, every time you create space, they step in like you violated some unspoken agreement, like your growth is betrayal, like your silence is disrespect. And here's the part that makes it hard. You remember the good. You remember the laughs, the memories, the deep talks at 2 a.m. You remember when their presence felt like safety. That memory becomes the blindfold because now they're different and so are you. But you're still handing them the same level of access, still letting them speak into your life, still giving them the master key while wondering why your peace keeps going missing. Every time they walk through the door, something shifts. The air gets heavy. Your confidence shrinks. Your energy drains. You start filtering yourself around them. You downplay your wins. You minimize your progress. You avoid certain conversations because you know how they'll respond, and yet you still allow it because they have the key. Because walking away feels like failure, because the guilt starts to whisper, reminding you of what them. But what do you really owe someone who only shows up to rearrange your furniture and leave fingerprints on everything you've built? Demons don't need to scream to be dangerous. They just need access. They need trust. They need consistency. And once they have it, they operate freely because they know you won't lock the door. They know you'll excuse the behavior. They know you'll give them another chance. But ask yourself, if someone keeps showing up with hands full of chaos and mouths full of manipulation, how many chances does it take before you finally change the locks? You're not the same person who gave them the key. You've grown. You've fought for your healing. You've rebuilt parts of yourself that were once in ruins. Don't let someone stroll in with old intentions and demolish everything you've been restoring. They'll come with smiles. They'll come with nostalgia. They'll come with, I miss the old you, not realizing the old you was miserable, small, and afraid. The old you gave them the key. The new you has the right to take it back, not in anger, not in hate, but in wisdom, because your peace is your home. Your mind is your sanctuary. Your soul is not a revolving door for people who refuse to evolve. Demons don't knock. They assume they're welcome. But the moment you start honoring your growth more than your guilt, you'll start seeing clearly who belongs and who just got too comfortable with access they never truly deserved. Pain isn't always loud. Some people hurt you quietly through patterns, not punches. It's easy to spot the obvious wounds, the ones that leave bruises, the ones that come with shouting, slamming doors, or threats. Those are the kinds of pain the world warns you about. But there's another kind, quieter, more deceptive, more dangerous. It's the kind that seeps into your life slowly in repeated moments through subtle digs, passive neglect, and silent betrayals. It doesn't scream because it whispers. And because it whispers, you often convince yourself it's not real. You don't notice it at first. It starts with a comment that doesn't sit right, a strange silence when you needed support, a sarcastic laugh when you were vulnerable. It's easy to brush off. They didn't mean it. They're just joking. I'm being too sensitive. So you let it slide, and they keep sliding you. Because that's the trick with silent pain. It hides inside patterns. Not one explosion, but 100 pinpricks. Not one betrayal, but a slow erosion of trust and safety over time. The person hurting you might even look like a friend. They might carry the label of family. They might be someone you've known your whole life. They don't have to raise their voice or raise their hand. They don't have to slam the door or leave a mark on your skin. All they need is repetition. All they need is time and access. They make you second guess yourself, your instincts, your feelings. You begin to doubt your own clarity. You feel wrong for wanting space. You feel guilty for noticing the tension. They don't call you names, but they never really encourage you either. They don't physically abandon you, but you always feel alone around them. This kind of pain creates confusion, and confusion is a weapon. You're stuck between what you feel and what you're told. You remember good times, kind words, shared memories, and then you remember the way they ignored your boundaries, dismissed your dreams, laughed at your confidence, or gave you silence when you needed support. And somehow you still question yourself. That's what makes it powerful, because it isn't obvious. You stay longer. You tolerate more. You carry the weight quietly, and you start to think it's yours to bear. It changes how you move. You become cautious. You over-explain your boundaries. You water down your voice. You shrink to make others feel more comfortable. You apologize for simply needing respect. And the person who's hurting you keeps doing it because you keep accepting it. Not because you're weak, but because you've been conditioned to believe that pain has to be loud to be valid, that unless someone screams at you, cheats on you, or walks out, it doesn't count as harm, but it does. Emotional erosion is just as real as emotional explosion. The person who consistently forgets your worth while pretending to care is not your ally. The one who jokes about your insecurities and calls it tough love isn't building you. They're chipping away at you. Every conversation that leaves you feeling less than you, every moment that dims your light just a little more, that's real. And real pain doesn't need permission to be acknowledged. You start to feel it in your body, in the way your chest tightens before a phone call, in the way your energy dips after a visit, in the way you breathe deeper when they finally leave the room. Your body knows what your heart is afraid to admit, that you are hurting, that you are not being supported, that you are not safe in the places you've convinced yourself you must stay. And that realization is the beginning of healing, not because they've changed, but because you've finally stopped ignoring the quiet pain they've left behind. Just because it's family doesn't mean it's safe. Familiarity is not immunity. One of the most dangerous myths we grow up believing is that blood somehow guarantees trust. That shared DNA means shared values, that just because someone has been in your life since the beginning, they automatically have your best interest at heart. But the truth is, some of the deepest wounds are inflicted by the ones who claim to love us the most. And what makes those wounds so hard to heal is the confusion that follows them. Because how do you protect yourself from someone who's always been there? How do you set boundaries with the people who taught you not to have any? Familiarity can breed blindness. You get so used to the dysfunction that it starts to feel normal. You start confusing disrespect for personality. You start calling manipulation just how they are. You tell yourself it's not that bad, that they mean well, that they've been through a lot. You make excuses for the chaos because walking away from family feels like betrayal. But what about the betrayal of your peace, your sanity, your healing? What about the quiet damage done by years of passive aggression, backhanded compliments, emotional blackmail, and the constant message that your needs are too much when pain comes from the outside world? It's easier to identify. When a stranger crosses a line. When a coworker disrespects you. You can set clear lines with people who haven't been woven into the fabric of your upbringing. But when the pain comes from family, it gets tangled in love, loyalty, and guilt. You question yourself. You downplay the harm. You carry the weight in silence because no one wants to be the one who speaks out against their own. But silence doesn't protect anyone. It only prolongs the cycle. And cycles don't break by being loyal to them. Some people use the title of family like a shield. They throw around phrases like, we're blood, you only get one family. Don't air dirty laundry, all to keep you in a place of emotional submission. They rely on your fear of being judged, your fear of being alone, your desire to belong. They use that fear to maintain control, and the more you try to break free, the more they twist the narrative. Suddenly you're the ungrateful one, the selfish one, the one who's changed. When in reality, what changes your tolerance for being mistreated under the disguise of love? Real love doesn't make you feel small. Real love doesn't require fear to function. Real love isn't conditional on compliance. Family is supposed to be your first team, your first source of safety. your first experience of unconditional love. But for some, it's the first place they learn betrayal, criticism, and abandonment. And admitting that truth doesn't make you disloyal. It makes you honest. It makes you brave. It gives you the clarity to protect your heart, even if it means disappointing people who were never truly invested in your well-being. Not everyone who shares your blood deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone who watched you grow wants to see you fly. Familiarity may bring comfort, but it doesn't bring immunity. It doesn't excuse abuse. It doesn't erase trauma. And it certainly doesn't give someone the right to stay in your life if they refuse to respect your boundaries. You have every right to build a life that honors your peace, even if it means doing it without the people who were there from the beginning. You have the right to choose your safety over their acceptance. You have the right to redefine what family means, not by blood, but by behavior, because the people who truly love you won't need guilt to keep you close. They'll earn your presence by making it a place of strength, not survival. Real love respects boundaries. Fake love calls them selfish. The difference between the two is not always visible at first glance. Both may look the same on the surface. Kind words, shared history, gestures of affection. But the test comes when you start to grow, when you start to say no, when you begin choosing yourself after years of being available to everyone else. That's when the truth reveals itself. That's when you see who is truly there for you and who is there for what you could provide, absorb, or sacrifice. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. They are not walls to shut people out, but fences to protect what matters inside. They are how you say, I am valuable, I am not infinite, and I have limits. Real love hears that and honors it. Real love says, I see you, and I will not cross that line because you matter to me. It doesn't get offended when you ask for space. It doesn't guilt trip you for needing rest. It doesn't rewrite your no into an insult. It pauses, listens, adjusts, and says thank you for the clarity. Fake love, on the other hand, thrives in your lack of boundaries. It survives on your silence, your guilt, your fear of disappointing others. Fake love is comfortable as long as you stay available, agreeable, and self-sacrificing. But the moment you start protecting your energy, the moment you say, I won't allow this anymore, it flips. It suddenly becomes cold, defensive, even cruel. What once seemed like support turns into manipulation. What once looked like care now smells of control. You'll hear things like, you've changed, you're being difficult, or it's always about you now. That's not love, that's exposure. That's someone revealing they were only ever interested in a version of you that served them. Real love doesn't require constant access. It doesn't get angry when you need time to recharge. It doesn't panic when you take a step back to breathe. It doesn't make your healing journey about their feelings. It cheers for you in the background if that's where you need them to stand. It waits, honors, and adjusts. Real love doesn't need to be center stage to feel secure. It just needs to know you're well. It values your growth, even if that growth comes with distance. Fake love twists your boundaries into insults. It calls you selfish, cold, dramatic. It plays the victim in your story, positioning itself as the one being left behind or cut off. But the truth is, fake love was never invested in your well-being, only in your compliance. It only loved you when you were easy to access, easy to influence, and easy to control. When that stopped, the love disappeared because it was never rooted in who you were, only in what you allowed. The people who truly love you understand that your boundaries are not barriers to connection. They are invitations to real connection. Boundaries make it possible for love to thrive without resentment, obligation, or emotional exhaustion. They are how we teach others what kind of love we can sustain and what kind of pain we won't accept anymore. They are how we let people in without losing ourselves in the process. If someone calls you selfish for setting boundaries, they're not seeing you. They're seeing the loss of their convenience. They're reacting to your empowerment, not your absence. And the louder they complain, the clearer it becomes that their love was not love at all. Because no one who truly loves you wants you to live drained, anxious, or broken just so they can feel comfortable. Real love is not offended by your healing. It's inspired by it. Your real love stands at the door and knocks. Fake love bangs it down, then blames you for the damage. And the longer you protect your peace, the easier it becomes to hear the difference. Being related doesn't give them permission to ruin your spirit. Family ties may run deep, but that doesn't make them a license to cross boundaries, crush self-worth, or drain the life from your soul. Too many people confuse proximity with privilege as if sharing blood gives them access to your mind, your emotions, your time, and your peace. It doesn't. Love must be earned even within a household. Your respect must be mutual, not assumed, and trust must be built, not demanded by tradition or title with you. There's a dangerous lie that's passed down through generations, the idea that family is everything, no matter how they treat you, that no matter the manipulation, the betrayal, the verbal abuse, or the emotional neglect, you're supposed to forgive, forget, and keep showing up to dinner like nothing happened to you. But what that lie doesn't tell you is how many people are silently suffering because they've been told their pain doesn't matter if it comes from someone with the same last name. How many carry invisible bruises wrapped in, but their family, like it's some kind of justification for staying in toxic cycles. You don't owe anyone the right to destroy your spirit just because you were born into the same bloodline. You don't owe your silence in exchange for acceptance. You don't owe your peace to people who refuse to protect it. Being related may explain how someone came into your life. It does not dictate whether they get to stay in your inner world. Biology is not a bond. Titles are not behavior. A mother, father, sibling, or cousin who tears you down, mocks your boundaries, dismisses your pain, or gaslights your memories is not acting in love. They're acting in control, fear, or dysfunction. You are not disloyal for walking away from people who refuse to respect your soul. You are not heartless for creating distance from those who've used guilt as a weapon and silence as a strategy. Your spirit was not made to be a doormat for someone else's unresolved trauma. You were not born to be the emotional sponge for generations of hurt passed down without healing. Just because someone helped raise you doesn't mean they had the tools to love you right. And just because you came from them doesn't mean you have to stay tied to their pain. Often the deepest damage doesn't come from strangers. It comes from those closest to you. The ones who know your buttons, your fears, your triggers. The ones who call it joking when it cuts deep for you. The ones who say you're too sensitive when they cross lines you never gave them permission to touch. And the worst part is we're trained not to push back. We're told to respect our elders, to let it go, to keep the peace. But what about the peace inside you? What about the inner child who never felt safe in their presence? What about the adult now carrying the weight of years of being dismissed, minimized, or controlled? It's time to redefine what family means. It's not about who was there when you were born. It's about who shows up with love, presence, and integrity now. It's about who listens when you speak. Who holds space when you're vulnerable? Who honors your no without turning it into a battlefield? Family isn't who demands access. It's who deserves it. It's who nurtures your spirit, not crushes it under the expectation of obedience. The people who truly love you will never use your loyalty as a weapon. They will never see your healing as a threat. They will stand beside you, not above you. They will be a safe place to land. You're not a storm to survive. Your spirit is sacred. It's the engine of your purpose, the compass of your truth. And no matter how intertwined your lives may be, no one, no matter their title, has the right to destroy it. When someone treats you like you don't matter, it's your job to remind them that you do, even if it means doing it from a distance, even if it means letting go of what's familiar in order to protect what's real. Because at the end of the day, being related might connect you in history. But only love, respect, and trust connect you in soul.